Well, hey guys, Tyler here. Figured I'd give you guys just a little update on the 40 breeder and the algae scrubber. I guess it's been probably 2 months since this system's been running, and I have not touched the algae scrubber whatsoever. I have had a little bit of issues with lighting schedules and things like that, basically because I haven't been running the light on a timer, because I don't have any room back there, and I just haven't taken the time to set up the timer. But now that that I've been working and haven't been really messing with the light, I've just been leaving it on 24 hours a day. So I think the algae scrubber is pretty much established by now. But other than that, guys, this tank is doing awesome. Everything looks amazing. All of the fish are doing great, especially my green spotted puffer, which probably hands down is the best $8 I've ever spent. He is my favorite fish. He's there every morning to greet me. As soon as I stick my hand in the tank, he's right next to me, eats out of my hand instantly. Has cleaned all of my rock of all my feather dusters. No offense towards feather dusters, I think they're beautiful things. It's just a pain in the ass when you go to grab a rock and you get, basically stuck with a needle. I mean, they go right into your skin and break off. So that's been the nicest thing. I have seen a little bit of aggression from my dotty back towards my puffer, but I'm not really worried about it. My puffer could probably kill any fish in here with his beak, but I don't know. I'm just going to kind of let it rest. I think I am going to be taking that purple dotty back out and putting that in the 120 once that tank's established. Let's go in here. I did dip the neon green torch. I don't know if you guys were following this, but I lost 2 heads on this thing within a month, and I was pretty convinced that it was coral warfare from a piece of Glaxia falling on it, but now I was pretty sure that it was a pest. So I ended up dipping it, and the thing bounced back and looks amazing. So good for that. My Octophilia is definitely growing and getting a lot bigger. I had to frag my hammer right here. As you can see, there's the piece that I fragged, about 3 heads, but it was touching my branching lobo. And this lobo wouldn't come out until around 8:30 when this hammer closed up. And now that I've cut that, it looks like I even need to cut it again. I can barely fit one finger between them two. But it's looking a lot healthier now. Torch is doing really good. Glaxia is doing really good. Oh, and by the way, guys, I named him Shrek because of his little nose things that come up. He just kind of remind me of Shrek. Neon green toadstool doing really good. Eagle Eye's doing good. My seafoam platies are doing good. As you guys can see, I wish I would have waited to shot my video, but my red planet is doing amazing. Right now, guys, the polyp extension's really bad because I just pulled this coral out, dried the bottom of the rock, and glued it where it is right now. And you can't even see the skeleton. That's how long the polyps are, and they are just like a metallic blue. They're amazing. So I wish I would have waited to shoot that, but I had to do that because my neon green bubble tip was just about ready to touch him. So I need to feed him. I haven't fed him in over 2 weeks. But frog spawn's doing amazing. My pagoda cup's doing all right. I did have it under here with this other one, and it was just kind of shadowed. So we'll see how that does. Brain coral's doing good, or maze coral, I guess is what you'd call that. Hydrophonora doing good. Let me get in here and focus all those things. These frags are doing all right. for the most part. They're not growing as fast as I would like, but they seem to be doing alright. So with that said, guys, pretty much everything in the tank's doing really good. I just did a water test, and my alkalinity was right at probably, I want to say 7.9, 7.8, maybe even 8. You know, with those API test kits, it's really hard to know. All I do know is that I'm right at 8, if not just a bit lower than 8. Calcium's 460. Obviously salinity's good. I've just been doing about a 5-gallon water change with Reef crystals every Sunday, and it's working. Nitrates are always 0. I haven't ever really had an issue with that ever in the hobby, except for when I had cichlids. That was one of the hardest things to control, was the nitrates in there. But I think the bioload in here is decent. I would like to add to it a bit more after the algae scrubber is a bit more established. But other than that, guys, it's pretty much plug and play with this setup now, and that's what I want. I really want to go 2-part, guys, but I just don't think it's worth it on this tank for me. I'm going to be dumping a lot of money into my 120 setup, and I rather have something a little bit easier to take care of on a 120 than this 40-gallon. With my water changes and a 1/4 cup of calc and my top off, I don't think there's anything to worry about. That's why I kind of like testing my water just before a water change to see kind of how it played out throughout the whole week. I am still feeding Coral Excel right there from my Eheim liquid doser, and I've noticed no nitrates from that, and I've noticed a great growth and polyp extension since adding that. I think that's what's really helped my corals. In the past, I haven't noticed as much polyp extension or growth or color in my corals. And a lot of that has to be from the D120 LED setup right there. So let's go ahead and jump up there and check out the sump, guys, and I'll show you guys how that's going. One quick thing too, skimmer, guys. This skimmer pisses me off. It's one of those Sea Life or Sea Clones or whatever it is, Pacific import skimmers, and the back of that skimmer is full of air bubbles. It seems to produce a lot of foam. It's just the biggest problem is, guys, is I would like to only run it about 6 hours a day, and when I go to unplug it and plug it back in, it immediately starts foaming and basically overflowing the collection cup until it builds enough back pressure, whatever it is, and finally equalizes out and drops back down. So I am forced to leave it run, and this is skim mate for 1 week, maybe a week and 3 days. Now, it's a dark brown. It's doing a good job, but with an algae scrubber on here, and a little bit of a refugium down here, I'm kind of thinking that maybe my nutrient levels might be just a bit too low. Not sure, but I would like to basically upgrade the skimmer for something a little bit different. It's just not working for what I'm doing. So if any of you guys have any ideas on a way to put this on a timer without it overflowing, let me know, or just any other ideas. But here, guys, let's go ahead and pop off the cover on here. So as you guys can see, there's quite a bit of cyanobacteria buildup on the scrubber. I'm not very worried about that. I have not even tried cleaning this thing one time. I'm not sure if the last video or not shows this thing completely covered in red, but this thing is finally filling out with green turf algae. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically dismantle the 2 zip ties here, and I'm going to pull this out, bring it into the bathroom, and we are going to basically take a look and see if there's an extensive amount of growth of the green turf. So let's go ahead and do that, guys, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I got the algae scrubber here in my bathtub, and from what I can see, there is quite a bit of algae on here. You guys can see, I see if I can get a side profile of this. It's pretty thick for never cleaning it, and there's a bit of a very strong turf-like material underneath this red cyno. So actually, there's, now that I'm playing with this, there's quite a bit there. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do this one-handed. I'm trying to figure out a place to set my camera, and I can't figure it out. So I'm going to try to pin this here and just try to, wow. So definitely getting quite a bit. So here. So, you know, and you know, I'm not an expert on a turf algae scrubber. I just, you know, I tend to do what works best for me. And you know, I see these people clean these things off really well. I just don't really see the point. The biggest thing is having something in your tank that's even removing your nutrients. But so here we go, guys. Looks like we have not very much, but you guys got to admit that there's still quite a bit right there. This stuff is what I call removing nutrients, and it's hard to kind of think that you're actually doing something to your tank by just removing something so small. But there's quite a bit of junk in this stuff that it does hold. You know, I think they work great as basically a type of filter stock. You know, quite a bit of detritus gets built up in these things. You know, unwanted fish food, things like that. And, you know, with that said, that's kind of how hair algae takes off. It basically has these filaments of hair algae, and you know, that plant uses that to catch debris that's floating in the water, and once they get it trapped into their base, it sits there and dissolves, and the plant uses that up. So you guys are definitely doing a lot of nutrient exporting by having an algae scrubber like this. I'm super excited to basically let this thing go now. I think I can officially turn the light down to 16 hours a day and play around with it with that. But this isn't that bad. And if you guys are familiar with my other setup, the 300-gallon tub, I do have a pretty extensive algae scrubber on there. And last time I cleaned that, I got exactly 1 cup of turf. So, with that said, guys, that was a 300+ gallon setup with probably right around 10 or 12 fish, which are pretty large fish, and you can see that there's not that much more algae than what we have right here. I'd say this is probably right around less than 1/3 of a cup. So one thing to consider too, guys, as when I did do the algae scrubber in the saltwater tub,
it pretty much eliminated my hair algae for right around 3 weeks. It's starting to come back a little bit because I've been working, you know, I don't know, 12 hours, 12, 13, 14-hour days. So when I get home, it's pretty much dark time, and I pretty much just go down there and feed my fish and call it a night. But stay tuned, guys, for the video of my algae scrubber on the 300 gallon. I'm going to go shoot that video right now after I install this. So with that said, guys, if you guys have any questions or concerns or video responses, please post below, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. And if you guys haven't joined my group, Addictive Reef Keeping, please take the time to click the links below. It is a very fast-growing group, and it's man, it's a great place to get a lot of information. So check us out on Facebook and subscribe if you guys haven't.